Rakaka.se. We're standing here with BreakyCPK, the famous Huncast
Hello.
Caster, basically. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. We're here on the second day of our event, and it's been a lot of fun so far. Can't wait to see what happens in the finals. So,
what do you think about the tournament so far? Any upsets?
Yes, there has been plenty of upsets. In fact, it started off with a very interesting upset. Team Easy defeated an Online Kingdom. Now, it's not necessarily that big of an upset, but Team Easy came into this. We were unsure if they were going to be, serious, but they came in and played very, very strong, so that was something. And then Frenetic Array, the Australian team, defeated Fnatic MSI, who's a powerhouse Heroes of Newer team. So there's been plenty more. It's been a lot of fun and some great, great results. So
yeah, I heard that basically, like, all teams have the chance to win it all, but it's such close games.
It is, yeah. The majority of the teams coming into this, it was expected, and we're getting that result. It's so close, and every single match is lasting, anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. There's no really short game, so.
All right. So, how many times have you been to Sweden now?
It's my third trip. First DreamHack winner. It's my third trip out here, though.
All right. Is it the best event so far in terms of Han?
Yes.
What's it like? Has it been better for the Han tournament, or is this the best?
This is the best. This is the top level. The interesting thing about this specific tournament is that this has been in the making for maybe 4 or 5 months now. It's been labeled as the biggest event in Heroes of Newer history, and it's for very good reason. It's the biggest prize pool that we've had, at least so far. We got every single team. It's an international LAN event. We got the Australian team, like I said, 2 U.S. teams, all throughout Europe. I mean, it's just bringing it together, and we're getting this great competition out of it. So definitely the best.
So about yourself a little bit. You're like one of the biggest stars of the Han community right now, even though you're not a player. Why do you think that is?
Well, it has to do a lot with the esports side of things. As a commentator, you look at StarCraft 2, a lot of more popular people amongst the StarCraft 2 community happen to be casters. You got your Day9, your Tasteless Artosis, it goes on and on and on. A lot of that has to do because they're the ones, they're the ones that people can relate to. They're the ones that get the information through them, and they see them from time to time. They hear their voice all the time, so they build this personal connection almost with them. Whereas the players, not usually as much. And I really feel that it should kind of be the other way around, like it is in real sports. The players should get a lot more attention, but esports is just starting out. It has to start out somewhere, and I'm sure eventually down the line it'll definitely grow to that extent. So.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and about the the announcer pack or whatever in game. Could you explain how that came to be, and what do you think about it?
Well, S2 Games, the creators of Heroes of Newer, we have announcer packs in the game, cosmetic skins that you can purchase in the store, and they had an idea actually about a year ago. It went a long time, but they came to me asking if I was down to do an announcer pack in the game. I was like, of course, yeah, that'd be freaking awesome. It got a lot of sidetrack. It kept getting pushed back, but finally it is going to happen. It's coming up next week. I'm really excited to see the reaction for it, and there's constantly I get questions about it. When is it coming out? So I'm finally glad to put something out there, and I am going to be annoyed though when I'm actually shoutcasting and people are using my announcer pack. Hearing myself, it is going to be weird, but no, it's exciting though, definitely.
All right. Every Han or Dota or anything player in the MOBA scene, I ask this, and I'm gonna ask you as well. What do you think about Dota 2? Are you gonna switch?
Obviously, I get asked this question a lot. I get a lot of people that ask, are you gonna cast Dota 2? Are you gonna go to Dota 2 officially and drop Han? What I've always said from the very, very beginning, as long as Han has a competitive scene in it, I have no reason to leave it. I mean, for right now, especially with this event here, this is a perfect example. We're hoping that this is just a stepping stone. We just announced the Han Tour $100,000 tournament. I mean, this is a stepping stone to a big and bright future for Heroes of Newer. Now, that isn't to say, maybe I'll do some Dota 2 casting on the side, and I would love to cast Dota 2, but right now my focus is Heroes of Newer, and as long as there's a scene, I don't see any reason to leave it, so.
All right. Yes, you talked about what we usually call the MOBA wars.
Yeah.
And one thing that's come out of it is that there's getting a lot of prize pools everywhere.
Yes, there is.
For the game. Millions. Do you think that is good for the scene, or is that something that because it's sort of pushed out there and it's not really genuine, so to say?
I've been pretty open that I've never been a huge fan of the way League of Legends approach things, to be honest, in terms of they really, you know, again, it's great for their scene, and as a League of Legends player, of course, I would be happy, but, you know, they're pushing out all this money. I personally feel Heroes of New Earth is the better competitive game by far, but because they have a lot of money, you know, backing them, they can just push out this money to these events, you know, and they're also going for exclusivity with these events with this money that they have, and that in itself, I think, is very, very bad for esports, and that really shouldn't be the case. As far as Dota 2 is concerned, you know, the $1.7 million tournament that I'm sure you're referring to, that was a big marketing ploy, but at the same time, it is Valve. I wouldn't be surprised if they can keep something of that level up at least every year. But after that event, we've seen a couple, but I mean, even here, it's I believe it's 100,000 SEK. For the Dota 2 tournament, which is a big drop, obviously, from the $1.7 million. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes up and down, but ultimately, prize pools are getting bigger. That's just how it is going to be, obviously, but you don't want to rush things, to say the least.
All right. If we keep on going on the same route and questions, sort of, something that came up pretty recently was that Han is free to play now.
Yeah.
And that you can buy early access to Heroes.
Yes.
I assume that they are not part of the competitive pool when you have a tournament.
No, honestly, I never played a free to play account myself. Obviously, I bought the game, but from my understanding, it actually. The EA, what we call them EA Heroes, Early Access Heroes, they're not available even to be picked in banning pick mode. And even if they were, you know, all tournaments would just ban them anyways, because obviously that's, you know, an unfair competitive advantage. And, you know, that you can purchase that is, so it just doesn't work.
So do you see any downside of it being free now?
Heroes of New Earth being free?
Yeah.
No, not. It needed to be free. In my personal, it needed to be free. You know, the competition is there. Microtransactions is really the business model nowadays. It seems like for a lot of successful video games out there. Obviously, League of Legends, they started free to play, and they got very, very successful right off the bat. From a lot of that was for that reason. So, you know, Heroes of New Earth, they needed to build out their player base, and going free to play ultimately was the best way to do that. So.
All right. So talking a little bit about Hancast, you're a huge page. You're like the go-to page in terms of Han. Is there anything you'd like to talk about? Anything new coming up? What are your future plans, basically? Are you just going to keep on going, or is it something?
You know, it's. That's the thing with me. I don't necessarily. I kind of just go with it. Obviously, like I said earlier, as far as Hancast is concerned, you know, we're big coverage for Heroes of New Earth, like you mentioned. We definitely cover the main events, such as this one. Han Tour is coming up, the $100,000 Han Tour event over a 2-month period. It's going to be 10 events. I think it's for our beta season. So we're putting S2 is putting $100,000 into that. So I plan on doing a lot of coverage for that. Obviously, NASL, which I'm going to next week in the live cast in that finals. You know, that came about. You know, whatever opportunities arise, that's how I've kind of always been. I'm not necessarily forcing anything. Just whatever happens, happens. So.
All right. So, talking about a little bit more about DreamHack, would you place any money on a certain team to win here?
Initially, I may have, but after watching these matches and seeing the results and the upsets and just it's been so weird. Weird, I think is the best word to put it, because, you know, a couple of teams, they start off very, very strong, but then all of a sudden they lost like 3 in a row. So it's like there's just up and down, and obviously great teams started slow, but now they finished out strong, and now they're in first place. So Fnatic MSI was my favorite going into the event. I believe they are in first place in their group, so they're going to be in a solid spot, but I don't know. There's been some very good teams out there as well that we've seen casted, and I can't choose. I couldn't put money on them now. So.
All right. So since we have a lot of non-Heroes of New Earth players on our page, could you recommend one game from DreamHack for now?
Oh, to watch?
Yeah, exactly.
There, obviously, again, there's been a lot. The Easy versus Fallen Kingdom, I believe that was the first match we did. It was a very, very intense game. A lot of action, but very, very close. I want to say it lasted something like 50 minutes, something like that. But it was a lot of back and forth. It'll really show you how the Heroes of New Earth competitive scene is in terms of pace, in terms of action, in terms of just fun to both watch and play. So I would suggest that. Easy versus Fallen Kingdom.
All right. So thank you for the interview. Do you have any shout-outs?
Obviously, shout out to my buddies at Hancast, you know, Xander K, Phil the Thrill, Diva as well from S2 Games, Detonator, S2 games in general, I guess. So, of course, Heroes and Newers. So, and my mom, of course. Hi, Mom. So, that'll be all right.
Thank you.
No problem.